Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, Mike's Instant Movie Review. Thelma, should you see it, should you not? I think this is a movie you could go see and would enjoy. I think most people would enjoy this movie. I don't know anyone that really wouldn't. If you have a grandparent, if you have a parent that's aging, if you are a grandparent or even a great-grandparent or you're aging, look, it catches up to all of us. This is a comedy, but it's got a serious undertone. We have this young man who is really his best friend, apparently, is his grandmother. And we start the movie with both of them, and then pretty soon, if you've seen the preview, Grandma Thelma is scammed when a creep, a jerk, a scam artist calls her pretending to be her grandson and says that he's in jail for an accident and that a lawyer is going to call and need $10,000 to help get him out of jail. And Grandma gets very excited, and she doesn't think that it's her. She thinks her grandson sounds funny, but the scam artist says, "Oh, I got a broken nose from the accident." So, like a lot of people do, unfortunately, and we saw this theme also in the film The Beekeeper, with Felicia Rashad playing the same type of scam victim character. Well, Thelma gets scammed for 10 grand. Her daughter, played by Parker Posey, and her son-in-law, whose name I can't remember, the actor. But they're kind of like these overprotective helicopter parents, like maybe elder Generation X parents, maybe in their 55 age range. The son is 24, Thelma's 70-something. I would say, if anything kind of stuck out, that I believe this film is supposed to be taking place in contemporary times, so 2024-ish. They do have smartphones in the film. But Grandma, at whatever age she would be, 70, I think they said she's 91. So I guess, yeah, they said she's 91 years old. I was going to say, I mean, computers, as we know them, have been around for, about 30 years, 25, 30 years. I guess it's possible she missed the whole computer generation, okay? Because that comes up a few times. So basically, she decides, the cops aren't going to be much help. And she's overhearing her daughter and her son-in-law talk about basically, putting her in an old age home where she has some friends that live there and they're not doing so well in her perspective. Richard Roundtree plays her friend. I think the guy's character's name was it Ben? And basically, she decides to go on a crusade to get her fucking money back. So we have this basically an adventure movie, a buddy-buddy movie. She enlists Ben against his will because she steals his scooter, which was pretty funny. A lot of scenes in this movie are basically dependent on the humor of she's doing these like activities like stealing a scooter or just kind of moving around, and the way that the movie is filmed and edited and so forth with the music makes it's kind of like a parody of a Mission Impossible, which is a recurring theme because we have all these Tom Cruise references. So Thelma is kind of our Tom Cruise in this story. But it's funny, like there's later in the movie, deep into it, she's in a pawn shop that's just full of lamps and breakable items, and the way that she's kind of navigating the pawn shop with her body, and her buddy there, Ben, is in her ear with the microphone phone system, and he's kind of, guiding her. It's a parody of some Mission Impossible movies, okay? Or just any type of spy movie or whatever the fuck action movie. The lead lady is very charming and genuine, and I'm not sure if she's been a famous actress or not. I didn't really recognize her. She looked like a new person to me. I mean, she seemed quite confident in the film and many layers to her performance. I thought she did a great job, and some of the most fun parts of this movie is just some benign conversations. Like there's a little conversation about bread. The way that we look at bread is changing. Like just little benign, silly conversations that people have. Not just old people, but I have these type of conversations, okay, when you're talking about the fucking perspective of bread. So there's some humor in this goddamn thing. And then the subtext kind of comes. I have to put the light on and off for various reasons. Do you mind? The subtext comes with Ben is kind of like the guy who's aging gracefully. He has a guilty complex because his wife died and he couldn't hear her screams of agony and so forth. There's another elderly lady that they visit that's doing really poorly, and her house is infested with roaches, which sucks. And so, I mean, this is the thing, folks. For our country, we're 240 years old or so at this point as the United States of America. We still haven't figured out what to do with our elderly people. I mean, it's a tough thing because everybody feels, entitled, and we all have to live the American dream and chase the thunder, and we're all supposed to go after what we want. But taking care of an elderly parent or an elderly grandparent or a great-grandparent doesn't seem to be much fun for many people. So we, put our older people in these nursing homes and so forth, and then they're miserable. So, you basically get old and you go to a nursing home, or you become dependent on your family, or you just fucking die. So there's really no many, you know what I mean? It's the lucky ones are the ones, lived to 85 years old and had a pleasant heart attack in his sleep. There's no good way of getting out. And the father character has one of his few good lines when he says, "There is no good death," which is accurate. So I like the movie. I mean, it's a pleasant movie. If, I do feel like this movie kind of missed a little marketing opportunity. If this movie had come out a few months ago, it could have been released in sync, so to speak, with Mother's Day. Okay, that seems like an obvious thing, but I guess that didn't happen. Or I know it didn't happen because it's June, and here I am watching this thing. Is there any improvements I could have made? No. I mean, that's one thing I try to do. If I see something in a movie that irritates me, or, this movie could have been a little bit better with this, a casting decision or some type of plot hole. I had one of those the other night for my review of whatever the fuck. What movie did I see? It was a good one. It was that horror film that I hadn't seen before with, I always want to call her Rose, Florence Pugh. I don't like her name, okay? I like her, but I don't know if I like the name Florence Pugh. No offense. She seems like a Rose. I always think of her as Rose McGowan, but she's obviously not Rose McGowan. But I think Florence Pugh, her name, should be Rose. It should be Rose something. She looks like a nice little rose, a little blonde rose. Anyway, I had a big plot hole. If you look at my review of Midsummer, however you fucking say it, I found a wonderful way to improve that movie. Yes, I know it's already been completed for 5 or 6 years. This one, I don't really think I would have done anything differently. Even their little kind of best of compilation, if you know me, which you kind of do because you're watching these videos. At the end of a movie, if they have a blooper reel or a flashback sequence, I don't particularly like that. But they kind of did that in this movie with the end credits, which I thought was fine in this case. So it's a very pleasant movie. I mean, that is a tough conversation if you've ever been there. Even, if you've been in these situations with the medical alert bracelets, you're trying to convince an older person to use this thing and they don't want to use it. And then, they send it back through the postal service without telling anybody. So the fucking medical alert bracelets blaring through 3 states, through the post office system. That's a fun one. So, blah, blah, blah. But basically, anyone and everyone could like this movie. I don't really see it as being a bad movie for anyone. Does it take high chances? Maybe not. But I enjoyed it. So it's a pleasant movie. What else? MikeMessier.com. One Man and a Camera Films. For my wonderful films, my wonderful acrylic art. One Mike Messier. Mike's Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan. My books are available on Amazon, and